Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schleck. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me is back, everybody. So glad. I got a lot of tweets this week about how their favorite Down to Dunk show is the Monday show with McKelly. So glad to have you back, McKelly. Back from the beach, back to regular life. McKelly, how are you?
Well, I feel great, but I'm losing my touch on everything, Andrew. On Sunday, it's pizza night during the weekend, so I have to make pizza, and it went horribly wrong. And my daughter basically patted me in the back and said, "Don't worry, Dad. Maybe it will be better next time. Maybe." So she already lost faith in my cooking art. That is terrible. My life is a disaster.
Wow. You just got to get back in the groove. That's okay. It happens to the best of us.
One pizza, Anita. One.
Wow.
No,
she lost faith too easily. Not everybody can be Darius Baisley in the gym at the YMCA. No,
exactly.
Not everybody can do that kind of stuff.
Sometimes you have to be Ben Simmons during the regular season.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Or playoffs.
So that Bays video is kind of bouncing around a little bit. You see that Baisley retweeted it?
No, I didn't. But I watched the clip, and it's
Well, there's another one that's like a whole. It's like a whole, not just a clip, but there's like a lot of it. Like somebody made a video.
Yeah. I watched the entire one.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I just want to know, how do we feel about him retweeting it?
Well, it
just feel. I don't know. It just feels
kind of awkward,
strange. Yeah. It's a little bit like Melo releasing his Hoodie Melo stuff, on his Instagram, where it's like.
Do you remember when he was in that Houston Rockets red hoodie with that was clearly not fit for himself? For him, it was very tight. That was bad.
I do. That was really bad. I don't know. I like Darius Baisley. I think he's got potential. I think that there's a lot to uncover with him still, but that just rings a little bit. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know why you do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the step back move was really good, but he already hit those in live game situations.
Yeah. We need to. And there's honestly nothing he can do in a gym like that would make me think differently of him.
Oh no, the highlights.
You have to see it.
The highlights were there. I mean, take the Orlando game, the one that we played in Florida. I mean, that was a sensational game. He was hitting off the dribble jumpers, step back threes, whatnot. He ended up with 20 something points. I remember me and John being, "Wow, let's see if he does it again."
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been the problem with Bays. It's not about the talent. The talent is there. It's not about the prototype of player. That kind of player is actually very, very useful in today's NBA. This is what everyone is looking for, like 6'8", 6'9" guys that can do it all on the basketball floor, that can play good defense and shoot the basketball. This is exactly why I think Presti pulled the trigger on him. Yep. Is he going to put consistency? That is the issue from day one. I mean, if you look at the mixtape from his high school, last year in high school, you can see those stuff already. I mean, maybe not the smooth step back three, but again, I remember vividly him hitting one of those in live game situation in the NBA. So he's capable of doing that. I'm not entirely surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. He's got the ball skills. It's just, I just wonder, one of the things that I want to see with Darius moving forward is, he can handle at his size, but what is that exactly going to translate to? Can he get his assist rate up? Can he get his free throw rate up? Those are two things that a dribble can do for you. Yeah. And if you're not using it for that, then what exactly are we using, the dribble for? His assist rate was 8.9 last year. Yeah. His free throw rate is 0.25, which isn't horrible.
No.
And it was an improvement on his first season, but I'd like to see that improve overall.
And
So
yeah, and generally, even if the assist ratio or the assist number doesn't improve, I really want him to be more than a play finisher.
Yeah.
And again, consequentially, probably that the assist rate will going up because of that. But I really wonder him being able to be part of a system more so than a guy that finishes with like low efficiency. And this was
Mm-hmm.
the issue last year. It was the low efficiency, and it's not that. And there was a question about that. So I think that since we are talking about him, it's good to discuss. It's not that we say, well, we'll give up on base. No, it's not giving up.
Yeah.
It's that sooner or later you have to show consistency,
Mm-hmm.
and it may come in a season, but if it doesn't come after 3 years, then picturing something more than a rotation player, it's hard. I mean, if you look at J Lamb is a fine rotation player. The
Mm-hmm.
consistency was the issue for him, and he put it together in year 4, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, it was
Yeah.
a 13 pick or 10 pick, probably something around that. I don't remember the exact number. So I mean, there was the upside was higher, and the consistency was just not there in his first few seasons, and it's hard to become more than a rotational player if you don't show consistency early on. Well, there are
Yeah.
exceptions, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it was at Seth Justice asked. Seems like a lot of people have gone sour on Bays with his development and what he has or hasn't shown. I don't understand why we draft such young players if we give up on them as quickly as anyone else. I don't necessarily love him, but the leash should be longer with someone turning 21. Uh,
sure,
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that this is us giving up. I think it's just trying to have reasonable expectations for what he can do and where he can be. And I think that he can. I mean, you always have to leave room for players like him to make a leap that people aren't anticipating. But we needed to see more flashes from him, more extended flashes from him last
hmm
season to believe that it was going to be real. And then you look at his sheer production and the way he shot the ball last year. I mean, under 50% true shooting for a forward is
yeah,
really pretty bad.
yeah,
Uh, that just has to be better. You look at just the raw percentages, 39% from the field. He was that both his first and second year.
yeah.
That you can't be on the floor for a good team. And then also the defense just didn't get a lot better.
No,
He talked a lot heading into the season that he wanted to be a more versatile defender.
yeah,
And I think I think his heart is in the right place and his mind is in the right place, but it didn't translate to the court. You know,
I
he
agree.
wasn't shutting guys down. And so that to me, I just want to see a jump in defense and I want to see a jump in shooting. And then we can talk about all the other stuff mattering. Because
Yeah,
if he can do jump in both of those, okay, wow, now the other stuff does matter,
yeah,
right? But if
yeah,
you're just this versatile player that can do lots of different things, well, it honestly just doesn't really matter if you don't defend well and then if you don't shoot the ball well.
yeah. And if you want to look at the bright side with Bays, the end of the season he had a lot of, well, I would say there were like productive. He was productive anyway, which on bad
Mhm.
teams it's not always meaningful, but the usage and the overall production are there. So as you said, I mean, if he can improve a little bit efficiency wise, even going like 52, 53% through shooting, that
Mhm.
will that will mean a lot. And I'm not sold that he will be, well, he will probably play the 4, but if you have something like a starting unit, say that Giddy, for some reason, they want him to start off the bench. I don't know. I wouldn't, but um, you can have a unit with Poku, JRE, and Bays as your front court player, and who
Mhm.
plays the 5 or the 4, it's not really important. You can also play that with Giddy. You are a little bit small, not small, but you're not as physical as you need to be if you don't have a guy like Jerry there. So
Hmm.
I think that there is some truth to say like maybe Bays should play more as a 4-5 compared to a 3.5. But I mean, next year roster will probably allow him to be more of a defender of fives or of certain types of four.
Hmm.
Compared to last season where you had Moses and Horford, and probably, I mean, defensively he always had that initial assignment.
Yeah. And if you want to think positive on base too, you can go and look at the way he played in April,
Mm-hmm.
where he was 52% true shooting, 18 points, 7 boards, 2 assists per game. This is in
Yeah.
11 games in the month of April, where he played better. He didn't shoot the ball well, 26% from 3, 44% from the field. Like, yeah, like it's still
But he
not
had a lot of free
optimal.
throws, right?
Let's see. Free throw attempts. Yeah, I mean he shot 54 total free throws. He was 38 of 54
Yeah.
in the month of
She's not
April.
great,
Like
but
not great, but it's the like he in 11 games he took 54 in February. In 16 games he took 37.
yeah.
So that's like he did the things that I'm saying that I want him to do, and perhaps he needs to carry that over. And then things got a
Mhm.
little in May. He didn't play super well. He was let's see, 45% true shooting
Mm.
on 15 points, 6 boards, 2 assists per game. So still it's like the shooting stuff like still kind of plaguing him to a degree. So
Yeah.
if he could have kept up the 52% true shooting, 18 points for the rest of the season, then like wow, okay, cool. Like there's something there, but then he regressed over the last 8 games of the season. But also, like, what do we read from that? The team was really struggling. The motivation to win games wasn't there. Like that
Yeah.
stretch was really brutal.
Yeah.
So maybe we're reading too much into that, but I would just need to see consistency because from month to month, it was like he started the season 43% true shooting, then up to 51, down to 48, down to 41, down to 52, or up to 52, down to 45. I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
and that's
Inconsistency.
some of that's being young. I mean, there's no doubt that some of that is being a young player, but
Mhm.
also, as you progress, as you play more games, like you should, if you're going to be a mainstay of a rotation, like you should become more consistent. So I understand the nature of your question. Um, but also the thing about it is that they're bringing in guys that were going to be competing for Darius Baisley's spot. And
Of course.
you don't get all the time in the world just to become, you know, the best version of yourself. Like really, most players don't on their very first team get all the time in the world to figure it out unless you're showing more consistency. And if you're inconsistent, then you usually have to either improve that or you go to a different team. That's
Yeah.
what happened with lots of players that have been through the Thunder system.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even the second team. I mean, we saw the
Yeah.
campaign tail. I mean,
Yep.
this is something that
True.
should tell us something. I mean, campaign was a good prospect that approached the NBA and not in a positive way, not in the
Hmm.
professional way. Well, I wouldn't say professional, but surely something went wrong in his
Yeah.
approach and in the ecosystem in which he played for a couple of seasons. And then in Chicago, I
Hmm.
mean, the story is out there. I mean, coaching staff
Yes.
saying after a practice, this is not an NBA player, and they were clearly wrong. But something campaign had done wrong in those practices in those 2 years, or a year and a
Hmm.
half in OKC. And so sometimes you need three teams. Sometimes you need to be a journeyman in order to be Jeff Green at the end of your career. I mean,
Yep.
again, it's not that we are, as you said, I mean, if you think that Baisley is a star and you want to have that projection in your mind first, I would advise you to reconsider. But if you want to hold that true for a little bit more, if after this season you're still saying, well, we saw the flashes, then it's probably going to be zero chance. Because by year 3, you need to be something. You need to show something. And again, we'll see. We'll see with Bays. I mean, this season can be everything. Maybe the competition Maybe he needs
Mm-hmm.
to fight for a spot, and he will be the best of the bunch. Maybe he will be the best between Poku and Giddy. That will scare me a little bit, but you know,
It could be a good thing. It could
it
be a
could
good thing.
be. It could be.
It doesn't feel like you think it might be, but it could be. Who
It
knows?
could be.
Yeah,
Yes.
it would have to. He would have to have a very big jump to get
Hmm.
there. Certainly, people are asking like positionally what he'll play, and this is the breakdown according to um, Basketball Reference. So 68% of his time was at power forward, 24% was at small forward, and then he played 4% of his time at center and shooting guard. So he's a 3-4. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
he is. That's where he'll play. That's where he's most useful as a player. Can he sneak some minutes at small ball five? Sure. Is he going to get pummeled and pushed around by most fives in the league? Yep. So he's not going to be a player that's going to show a lot at the five or as like Jeremy Grant. By the time that he was ready to play small ball five, one, he was playing off the bench as a
Hmm.
small ball five, and he's a lot stronger than
Yeah.
Bays. So
Yeah.
there was a big difference between those two. And Alex mentioned Jeremy as like a potential comp for him. Like they're just like so far and away different on defense that it's that I just don't really see the comp there yet. Like he just needs to show way more on defense. Like the only comp that's there is that similar body type, I
Yeah.
suppose. But
Yeah, he
that's
was
about it.
closer. Yeah, their first season was closer in terms of being like the first season in OKC for Jeremy and the first season of Base. They were
Mm-hmm.
basically spot up threes defenders
Yeah.
with the ability
Yeah.
to be maybe a little bit more. So yeah, it's not that I don't see that. Well, Jeremy may be a good example of a guy that, but he also had a steady improvement, like from year one to year two to year three. Well, in Denver, it wasn't the greatest of the fits, but it was more because I mean he didn't fit in the system. But you already saw 3 years of steady
Yeah.
improvement for Jeremy, and that is what
Yeah.
we want to see. I mean, the first year in Philadelphia was not a good year
Mm-hmm.
for Grant, and the second in OKC was, what are you doing? Like, it's, yeah, you shot the ball well, but you didn't trust the shot.
Yeah. It's kind of like,
And
what are you? Like, what do you
yeah,
like? What is your
exactly,
NBA?
exactly. It's more what are you than what are you doing, because he was doing what he was told. But and then in year three, then he really improved.
Yeah.
And
He
again,
popped.
it may be the same for Bays. I hope he has like a change of course. And again, he had a rough path. Like first year, it's the COVID year, and you don't have like basketball experience because he spent a year at New Balance, and then there is this short off season and another bad season where like it's weird circumstances and whatnot. And now he has the first real off season, professional off season of his life. So who knows?
Yeah. I'm intrigued. I'm
Yeah,
intrigued.
yeah.
I didn't think we'd be
18 minutes on
starting with
base.
a.
Wow.
I was gonna say the first 20 minutes on Darius Baisley. There you go, everybody. Enjoy your base content for the day. Let's talk about this schedule. So Friday afternoon, they released the entire NBA schedule. Fun day. Newsflash, everybody: the Thunder play all the teams in the league. Sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times. It's amazing. Maybe even 4.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna be a
yeah.
wild time.
But
But
hey, they are
it's the
4 times on national TV. Like national
NBA
TV.
TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is becoming increasingly more difficult to even watch. So just I thought we could run through at least parts of the schedule, maybe some things that you noticed. So let's just run through the first part of the schedule, which the first part of it's really difficult, which I think is a good thing for this team and the team building. And the part of the reason that last season was so rough with regards to the goals for the franchise is that they got off to such a good start.
Mhm.
And it was like, oh, okay, well, what is this team and what are we going to do here? And it felt like that really up until through December. And I was like, what's happening? Are we going to finish ninth? Is that what we're going to do? And obviously they didn't, and things were still disappointing, but we're not here to rehash that. We're here to look at the schedule. So they open the season in Utah, and then they go to Houston. So
Yeah.
Houston, a very winnable game. Houston is not going to be good, and I don't know
Yes.
exactly what the John Wall, Eric Gordon situation is going to be. Like, they're going to start those guys and play them heavy minutes. Like, I have no idea. I don't know
I
if John
have
Wall's
no
healthy.
idea.
I have no clue. So
Yeah, to me,
that to me is like that's a coin flip. But Utah should pummel the Thunder on night one.
yes, they should. And with the Rockets, I mean, they made a perplexing move on like acquiring Tice, but maybe it's you are a nice guy, you play defense, so maybe you will teach young guys to play defense as well. We'll see.
I
Maybe
guess,
this is the
but where's the
Shangun
time for
Whisperer.
him? Yeah, I don't know. Like, where's the time for him?
Well, he
Christian
will
Wood.
play. He'll play at least at the beginning. Maybe they will flip him for an asset. That is, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
anyway,
Yeah, it's a
I
weird
don't
one.
think that the Garuba will play much in his first year, to be honest with you. So maybe it's Tyson
Probably
Wood.
that's probably right.
Yeah, they may send him to the G League, or I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
don't
it's a
either.
winnable game. I think that on paper, Houston should be a tad better than OKC, depending on where Shea lands in his development. Because if Shea is a super duper supernova, then I don't see them. Like,
You mean like Christian Wood, John Wall, Eric Gordon, plus what they get from their rookies and House and guys like that? You think that they're better on paper in that way? Like, what's your
I don't
reasoning for
know.
saying that?
Well, they had a stretch where they played as a basketball team, functional basketball team. Then
Yeah,
thing went south
yeah.
after a couple
With
of injuries, and then
mhm.
so I don't know in which. I mean, they have their pick this season, so they have no incentive
They do.
whatsoever to win.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the second game. Maybe they want to test each other out and see where
Mm-hmm.
they are at. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, weird. Just a reminder, like, weird stuff always happens at the beginning of every season.
yeah,
There's always a team that people think like, oh, well, is this team now good? Is this team now doing this, or is this team horrible now?
yeah.
Weird stuff always happens every year. I remember like I think maybe it was DeMarcus Cousins last season in Sacramento. They won a ton of games at the beginning of the year, and everybody thought this was like Zach's year to like really do something.
Is it the season where he had a disease? I don't remember which one, and then they fired the coach.
Yes, I believe so. That happened later on. Yeah,
Yeah. So and then
weird one.
then yeah. So I don't know, that game is a conflict, as you said, and then they have a pretty brutal stretch that will basically last until the home game on November the 8th against the Spurs at home.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
see them on paper. They should lose against the Sixers, Warriors, Lakers, Warriors, Clippers, and Lakers.
yeah, without a doubt. That's when things get interesting. It's kind of, I mean, if you're interested in going to games, Philly, Golden State, Lakers, like that first week of home games, like, wow, like that's going to be fun.
Yeah,
Sunday against the Sixers, Tuesday night against the Warriors, Wednesday night against the Lakers. Like, whoa,
yeah,
that's Embiid, Curry, and then you have like the LeBron, Westbrook, Anthony Davis trio coming in on
yeah. It's
Wednesday.
amazing, and I'm so
It's
afraid
crazy.
of those stretches because I mean, a young team the same reason apply the same reason that I made for Houston applies for OKC. I mean, they will want to see where they are at. I mean, I
Oh
don't
yeah.
doubt that
Oh yeah.
Shea wants to win against Curry,
Of
against
of
Embiid.
course they want to win. Of course they want to win.
I
Yeah.
hope they get plummeted, but I mean, if you start to win like randomly those games, this is
Uh-huh.
where you get to 24 games, 28 games.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
without a doubt.
But
Yeah, that's
but
where
the
you hit
stretch is
the
hard.
over for sure. Yeah. It is tough. It's gonna be tough. So after they play those 3 home games, they travel and play this West Coast, Golden State, Lakers, Clippers, or Clippers, Lakers. So that should be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, in the month of November, there's 1 week that's like really brutal. It's the third week of November, and they play 5 games that week. They play Brooklyn, Miami back to back at home. They play Houston at home, which is like a nice little break to be at home and play that. But then they're back on the road. They play Milwaukee and Boston back to back on the road Friday, Saturday. So that to me like sticks out as a tough stretch. And then
they fly to Atlanta, which is to end the eastern side of the road trip, and that is, I mean, Bucks, Celtics, Sox is extremely hard, and then they go to you, and then they welcome Utah at home, which is hard again.
Of the games in October, November, and we went over this last year, and it did not. Well, it ended up working out just fine the way we thought it might eventually, but not in the way we thought it would. Mm-hmm. But I would say like October, there's one winnable game, with Houston. November, there's 2 winnable games, both against Houston. I guess San Antonio, Sacramento too are in there as like decently winnable games.
Yeah,
both
instead of
Sacramento,
winnable,
San Antonio are at home. Yeah,
you can say games where OKC will not start as like the opponent will not start as huge favorite against OKC.
Yeah, not a huge favorite. I mean, the Thunder Vegas has them at what 22 is the 22.5 is the over under.
I've seen 23.5 somewhere.
In that range, like 22, 23.5, like they will be favored in very few games. Like Houston at home, like maybe is the answer to that, right? And that's probably it. Like they won't be favored against Washington. Sacramento will probably be favored.
Yes.
San Antonio is questionable. Like maybe OKC gets off to a better start than we think, and then maybe they're favored against San Antonio. Because I have no clue. I need to just get on the phone with like a Spurs person. Maybe we get a Spurs person on the pod, because I have like zero expectation or zero idea of what San Antonio is going to be this year. There's no DeRozan. I have no idea. But then they did things like they got Thad Young. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I mean, the Bulls had Thad Young for the entire season.
I know, and they were just like a bleh team. They had 8th lottery odds.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
Yeah, but like San Antonio does not nearly have the talent that Chicago had around Thad Young.
True.
So True. I have no idea. To me, they will struggle to score. Maybe not 85 points, but they will struggle. Yeah, they will. We can say it differently. I would say that San Antonio will struggle to score more than 105 points per possessions. Per 100 possessions.
They'll struggle to get to 98 every night. We'll say that.
Probably.
I don't think so. Yeah, maybe.
I would say
I need to stop. I need to stop myself right now.
Exactly. But around that, I mean, they will be bottom 5 offensive team, I think, in terms of efficiency. Defensively, I don't know. They will probably in the top half or top 20. So maybe they will be around. I don't know, 32, 33 wins. But those teams can lose. Like, it's not that they are favored against OKC. It's just they probably are better equipped to play functional basketball on defense, and so they will be a tough out. But they might be not the favorite. So I expect them to, unless something happens in terms of their prospects, like popping, like Colton Johnson or someone like that. But they have to, like DDR for, like, I don't like him as a player, but the thing that he brought last year to San Antonio are probably a little bit discredit to some degree.
He's a floor raiser. I mean, there's no doubt that he's a floor raiser. That's why the Bulls not only gave him a massive contract, but traded picks to get him.
That to me is still bonkers. But anyway.
It's bonkers, but they would like to be in the mix. And if DeMar DeRozan is your 3rd or 4th best player, like, okay. you know.
Yeah, there is a study that I think we discussed here, but we never put the effort in proving that the variance on a 2-point shot is in late game situations so low compared to the 3-point one that
Mhm.
being Chris Paul and being able to hit, and also this applies to Shea. This applies to Shea. So being able to be a prolific and efficient pull-up shooter will help you in late game situation, and that might be something where the Bulls that struggled really a lot in winning close game last year. Maybe this will be one of the things that make them better.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
this is also why I think with Shea, OKC won a little bit more. It's not that with Shea, OKC was amazing, but in the closing minutes, Shea was still very, very good due to the efficiency of his pull up and his general 2-point shots. And this
Yeah.
is something that I don't know how it correlates with Russ's MVP season, because he was not efficient, but to some degree in those moments he was. And you know, we'll see how it goes with
Yeah.
OKC and with Chicago.
Yeah. So the first 2 months of the season are really rough. Like I could see them having less than 4 wins in the first couple of months. I think that's certainly possible. They probably will have maybe 5 or 6
Yeah,
to end those 2 months. It's probably more likely. But things lighten up a little bit in December. They start the month like pretty soft. Houston, Memphis, which is a back-to-back, which is a home then road back-to-back, which makes that stretch more difficult than it would have been. I'm also very intrigued by Memphis. Alex talked about them on Saturday Slam and Jam,
yeah,
and then there are some reports about Slow Mo being available, Dylan Brooks being available. I don't know if they'll actually trade those guys, but if they do, then things get kind of interesting with Memphis. Like, how good are they? Like, they're probably in the lottery almost firmly if they
yeah.
deal those guys for future assets. If that's what they want, I don't know what they want. Maybe they want a player.
But
I'm
what
not
they
sure.
will what is the price that you would pay for those guys?
I think that they're worth, if you're a good team, they're worth your protected first round pick.
Really?
Yeah. You don't
A
think
first
so?
round pick? No.
Yeah.
I don't like Dylan
Dylan
Brooks
Brooks
in
was
general.
good. Dylan Brooks was good last year.
Yes. In that specific setting.
Slow Mo is a good player.
Yes.
Like if the Warriors could get Slow Mo,
Hmm.
like he fits them quite well.
A first rounder.
If you're talking like the 25th pick or something like that, sure.
I'm not sold.
Okay. Well, 2 seconds. I mean, I don't know. 2 seconds
Yes.
doesn't seem like enough, but
But that is
whatever.
where I don't see them trading those guys. Because I don't
Yeah.
see a team sending a first. I just don't.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
mean,
not.
what's the real difference in terms of I know that they had a pretty different seasons and Slow-Mo was great,
Mhm.
but think about Slow-Mo on the Warriors or Kenrich on the
Mhm.
Warriors.
Mhm.
Is is that a huge difference between the two in terms of their role?
Mm, oh, probably not. I think Slow Mo
Pro-
probably has a bigger role than Kenrich, but maybe
Yeah,
not.
yeah, similar. And and OKC didn't feel that probably 2 seconds was enough, and no one was paying it first.
Yeah, and
I
I mean, I think that Kenrich is also just like very beloved as not only a
Yes,
player but as like a person, like in the locker room, setting a tone for everybody. Whereas like you have all these young guys who don't like none of the young guys they have in there are setting a tone, for like
yeah,
how to be a pro. And I think that's why it's important to have Kenrich and Muscala and even Favors
sure,
to a degree who are like seasoned pros. And it's funny because Kenrich one hadn't been in the league very long but he is a little bit older, but it's funny how he's taken to that role, but he certainly has. Gosh, I just really, really hope that I'll get to be in the locker room this year. I'll be so disappointed if we can't.
Yeah,
Um,
let's hope. Let's hope that you get like that experience was something. Even if I
I,
tried just 2 times, it was
yeah,
great. The
just,
access
I
that you
think that
have.
the level of access, I'm hopeful that it will be back to where it was, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where all this is headed, but I'm hopeful. Anyways, there's some winnable games at the beginning of December. Houston, Memphis, Detroit, Toronto. So this is finishing a road trip in Detroit and
Hmm.
Toronto. Both winnable games. I don't know how good Toronto will be either. I don't think Detroit will be good this year. I think them and the Thunder and Detroit will be similar as
Yeah,
far as like how good they are and what they look like night to night. They're not built too differently with regards to how many young players they have and veterans and stuff like that. They do have Kelly Olynyk, who I think will help them to a
yeah.
degree.
They have a bunch of guys that will make the roster functional, and
Hmm.
then I don't know. Cade, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I think Cade will be good. I think he'll
Yes.
be helpful to them. I think he's not like they. There's a lot of rookies that I think are show a ton of potential, but they just like totally kill you. Like Russ was that. Like Russ was like showed all this potential, but he just totally destroyed what your season was going to look like because you just handed him the keys when like Scott Brooks is like, here, you can have the team. And it was like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna be horrible. But that was all a part of the plan then.
Hmm.
You give the ball to Cade, and I'm not saying that like Cade is going to be much better than Russ. Like I think the odds of Cade being like anywhere close to what Russ was as a player are very, 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 very low. Like I'm talking like 5% that Cade ever becomes what Russell Westbrook was in the NBA. So I'm just saying that like the frenetic play of a rookie that is still trying to hone his craft to what Cade is, which is like he is just
Steady,
cool
polished.
under pressure. He wants guys to get better. He gives guys room to get better. He even freaking did that at Summer League. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
Just,
stop letting
just,
Killian
just
Hayes have
shot.
the
Just
ball.
take
Just
shots. Yeah.
look at you. And then when he hit like 7 of 10 from three. I was like, there it is.
Thank you.
Like, yeah.
Thank you. Still not
It's,
being able to beat your guy off the dribble, but we'll check on that in a few months. I'll
yeah, the
see.
finishing at the rim,
Yeah.
the getting into the paint and not being blocked by guys or being stood up is it's something I took note of. Is that
Yeah.
something that he can improve at? Like he's a smart enough player to figure it out.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I can't make judgments on that today because it could look very foolish soon. And I
No, it will.
certainly
And I
acknowledge
was
that.
thinking, I had this harsh judgment on him throughout the draft process. But if you think about how Chris Paul plays, and you can picture yourself, um, Cade being a taller version of CP3, maybe with less passing ability because
Yeah, I was gonna
everyone
yeah.
has. But if you think about
Right.
the threat of the shooting, like Chris Paul leveraged that to such a height. It's not that he finishes at the basket. He is efficient, but it's not
Hmm.
that he finishes at the basket 1,000 times per game. He shots the ball a lot, a
Hmm.
lot.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think Cade will be a similar type of player again. It takes a lot to be the floor general that CP3 is. There are a
Hmm.
bunch of players in the NBA history that are as good as a playmaker is. So I'm not saying that, but as a type of player, like a cool guy that is a calculator that doesn't waste possession, that is able to leverage with his shooting a lot and create space with that. Maybe we'll see more, and then when he has a chance, he can get to the rim, even if he's not the best athlete or he's not crazy efficient there. So it's
Hmm.
again, there are playmakers that can do that and being exceptional even without crazy athleticism.
Yep. So then the Thunder have a pretty difficult stretch after that road trip. That's like starts pretty soft in December where they travel back home. They have this homestand, but it's against the Lakers, Dallas, Pelicans, Clippers. Like tough. Then back on the road, they play Memphis twice. in December on the road, and then Denver Phoenix back to back, which is going to be brutal. And then they finish out with a pretty hard schedule: Pelicans, Kings, Phoenix, Knicks, like all like solid in the mix, want to be in the playoffs teams. That like these teams should be playing hard is the thing about these teams. Like I almost like don't worry as much about the Lakers as far as like if you want the Thunder to win, just because I don't know if the Lakers are going to bring it in OKC. Like the Pelicans, Kings, and Knicks, like those are teams that if they want to be good, they got to bring it, and they got to bring it every night, kind of thing. And so like I'm a little bit. To me, the blowouts may come with those teams that like really turn it up on the Thunder.
They should be the teams that OKC maybe on some nights stays with them for a couple of quarters, maybe 3 quarters, and then they are out talented or out execute or out whatever.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm not going to go in detail over the rest of the schedule. I just will point out maybe some trends. Mid-January, they have a 4-game road trip that ends in a back-to-back in 2 games that should be winnable, but this almost will result in probably a schedule loss where they play Charlotte and Cleveland back-to-back in the middle of January on the 21st and 22nd. So like that's like if you're somebody that's wanting them to tank, like that's a nice little gift that was given to the Thunder there, because like Charlotte, Cleveland, those should be teams that are like relatively beatable. Then before the All-Star break, they've got 2 weekend back-to-backs at the beginning of February. So the 4th and the 5th, it's Portland, Sacramento, like another gift given. And then Philly, Chicago. All 4 of those games are on the road, back-to-back on the weekends there. Like those are tough.
Yes.
And you really want like winnable. If you want the Thunder to have the best draft position possible, you want the winnable games for the Thunder to be attached to some back-to-backs. And that's where I'm looking at the schedule and thinking, oh, this is actually pretty great. In March, and the second week of March, they have Milwaukee, Minnesota back-to-back. So home for Milwaukee, on the road against Minnesota. Like that, when Minnesota is going to be a winnable game, like that's good that it's road back-to-back for OKC. Then you look at Memphis, Charlotte, another home, and they're both at home, but back-to-back. Great, tie them together. And then you have Orlando, Boston tied together back-to-back. Sunday on the road in Orlando, then back at home with Boston. Like great, like tether these easy games on back-to-backs, please.
Yeah, and they also have a short 2 days between the Heat and the Magic, because they play early on against the Magic on the 20th. So it's they come back from Miami pretty late. They come back to OKC and they have to play in the afternoon. So even that is not the easiest. And then they have a back-to-back.
Yeah, I think that's if you're wanting them to win less games, you wanting them to hit the under because you are looking forward to the draft and you want their draft positioning to be the best it can be. These are good signs. Like the month of March, there's a lot of winnable games. They have Minnesota at home to start. Like that's a very winnable game. Then I mentioned the back-to-back. They play Orlando twice, but one of them's on a back-to-back. There's things about this schedule that make you think like, okay, where are the 29 wins, with this team? And, they could still reach that, obviously, because I think that the improvements that are available to be had on this roster, like there's a lot of them. There's a lot, but things have to hit just right for them to get there. This NBA, and John Hollinger wrote about it at The Athletic, which I think everybody should go read it, that like everybody's competing for the now. Like everybody wants to be good. Everybody wants to replicate what the Hawks and the Suns did last year. That's where everything is headed. And there are very few teams here that want to lose a lot of games. I think Orlando is one of them. I think OKC is one of them. I don't know if San Antonio is one of them or not. I have no idea. I think Houston will be one of those with almost certainty.
Cleveland should be one of those, but they
Cleveland
are
should
not.
be, but they are not. No. You don't trade for Ricky Rubio and
Yeah.
want to be that team. I think Minnesota should be another one of those teams, but I don't think they will be. I think they will be trying.
They have at least a case for not to be bad, I think, because it's already, 5 years with Towns?
Dude, I just don't know what happens with that team. I just have no clue what happens with Minnesota.
No, but I'm not saying they are built. They've built a roster that is capable of winning. It's not what I'm saying. They should be. They should feel a certain amount of pressure because it's
I think the
already.
pressure. Yeah. I think absolutely the pressure's there. But if you just look at the West and think
there's no
about
way.
them possibly being in the top 10, like I can get to 10 teams like so fast. Like Denver, Portland, as long as they keep Dame is there, Utah, Golden State, Lakers, Suns, Mavericks. Like we're already at 7, and we're talking about the play-in. Like who's in the play-in? The Clippers are in the mix for that.
Oh, I am much higher on the
Memphis,
Clippers than that.
San
I think they will
Antonio
be top
is
6.
going to be trying. I think they very well could be, and I hope that's a reverse jinx.
I think that Ty Lue is a competent coach, and there will be a competent team, and they will. I think that the fact that they miss Kawhi, they will hustle a lot more, and I think that when PG is kind of the underdog, I think that is a much better situation for him compared to him being, you're the guy now. Yeah, you are third on MVP now. Show it in the playoffs, and
he was great. He was great in the
was
playoffs.
Awesome.
It's going to require him to be healthy. Is like that's going to be the number one thing for the Clippers this year is health.
Yeah,
and
if he is, then of course I'm counting on PG being healthy because I don't want to. I never count on.
You can't predict. I mean, you can't really predict it. But
exactly.
You can,
yeah. And there was a question about now that we are talking about PG, it was a question about Lou Dort and defense, how an individual defender can lead to, and like look for Paul George, like he was one of the best individual defender on that Russ-led team, and also a guy that was really playing passing lane and off-ball defense to such a high degree. I mean, it was a brief stint with him in OKC, but boy, oh boy, the defensive part was amazing. He was insane, especially the first few games of the first season. I mean, when he was engaged, I mean, he could guard anyone and being one of the best off-ball defender at the same time. So, if you want to see how a great defender impacts team defense, now just look at that. Because Andre Robertson was a very good defender, but the best ability was to be one of the best pick and roll defender. And with him and Adams, there was such a chemistry that basically they were breaking up initial point of attack to such a high degree that the other team wasn't having any options. With PG was more general. I mean, he was always active on passing lane, whether it was looking at the ball or not, his body positioning, the fact that it was so long, he used his arm very well. And again, on top, if you switch on him, then it's basically lockdown defense. So this is where Dort needs to be able to improve, like understanding where your body is and being able to play your man and the passing lane simultaneously, which is again extremely hard.
It's really hard and made easier by being 6'10" and having crazy arms.
Exactly. That plays a role as well. I mean, this is why in some draft you see guys like being drafted high only because of their measurable. Because those things, if you are able to use them to your advantage, it is a clear advantage. Like it's just
it is. Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why, like, even Poku could be an impactful defender is because of his size and length, and even Giddey to a degree. Like Giddey doesn't have crazy athleticism, but he has elite size for the kind of player that he is. And so, yeah, I think that it's,
There was
I don't know.
let me say something about like a very weird player that played only in Europe and no one will know about him. But he was Italian slash Slovenian guy called Gregor Fuchka, who won a silver medal with Italy in 2004. And he is 7'1", I think, with
Mm-hmm.
7'6" wingspan, something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he was guarding pick and roll on his own on an island, and with his arms, he could basically make a triangle. Well, not a triangle, an angle that was so wide that the handler could not get past him because he was so perfectly positioned that there was no way that he could, like, it was so perfect, the technique, and it was so wide. Again, the ball handler didn't have anywhere to go. If it was half turn, it was turnover because it was, again, was able to slide his feet. And he was able to do that until 40 years old in minor Italian leagues. I mean, I watched him a gazillion times being able to
Yeah.
guard the pick and roll because it was, again, so wide that in terms of wingspan that he could guard him on his own, even if he was so slower than the opponents. And so, yeah, length is, if you know how to use it, if you're not Moses Brown, then you probably, no, I
You're not
mean,
Moses Brown. It's a great way to start
or
something.
if you're not Ashim Tabit, that is probably better.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are chances to be impactful just for sheer length.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think there's a the Thunder have gone away from like their just like rangy athletes that have that they're trying to develop into rotation players. They've gone away from that where they're going to like way more skill based, which is really just like the way the NBA is going.
Yeah.
That's so I think that's interesting. Somebody's asking about Vid Krejci in the chat. I don't think his buyout has actually happened yet. I think that's just like
Rumored.
it's just a rumor. So I don't know what's going on there. He clearly won't be a two-way player because their two-way spots are both taken. Like short answer is like I have no idea what's going to happen with him. And even if you do bring him over, like is there minutes there for Vit to play? Like I don't know.
Who knows?
You can still send him down to the blue.
Yeah.
And he can play a majority of his time there too. I guess he could just go back to Europe as well, which is not a.
Yeah, they can tender the offer and he can play in Europe with the Thunder holding his rights.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I mean, we have to just consider that as a possibility because nothing's happened yet, and they would. I don't know. I honestly, like, short answer, have no clue what's going to happen with Vit. But just consider all possibilities to be out there because there's nothing that's happened with him yet. He was in Vegas, but that was only because he was working out in OKC and probably just wanted to get out of OKC. I don't think it had anything to do with I don't know that it had anything to do with anything else other than that.
We are going to Vegas. Do you want to? Yes.
Yes.
I'm there.
Raise his hand. Yeah.
Please.
All right. We got room on the plane. Hop on. Yeah, I have no clue what's going to happen with him. And he's pretty inconsequential to what's going to happen this season. I would say
who knows?
Overall.
Maybe it's revelation.
Could be. That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. If
that'd be weird.
I mean, who knows? Like weirder things have happened. Nikola Jokic is the guy, picked in the same range in the second round. However, I do not want to give anybody false hope about Vid Krejci.
Yeah,
he is very tall. He's very tall.
He's another 6'9", do-it-all bigs. I mean, we were raving about Renz, but Vid Krejci is the exact same type of player.
Exact same type of player, and he may be taller than 6'9". Just looking at him, So
yeah,
There might be something
Yeah.
there. Who knows? He's
Yeah,
very
you
thundery
may.
though. Like he's very New Age Thunder. I didn't meet him. I just saw him. But
Oh, okay, I see.
very New Age Thunder with
Yeah.
his skill set. Yeah, I'm intrigued, but I don't know what's going to happen with him this year. I believe he will be a Thunder player at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know when? I have no idea. Hopefully it's this year because he just makes things. I think he makes things more fun and intriguing. You know, if we're in the
It's the
middle of
mystery.
January and he hasn't played yet, and it's like, oh, tonight Vidkrejci is active. Okay, reason to tune in. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is kind of fun. So, all right. Anything else, McKelly, before we go? You have any like wrap up thoughts about Summer League or wrap up thoughts about the team or anything like that you just want to get off your chest since you haven't been on the pod for a minute?
I just want to see Trey Mann play again. I know that we should all wait for Giddy, and I'm sure Giddy will come. I picture Giddy's season as a long wave that starts slow and then raises. Man is pure electricity to me. He is fun to watch on offense. On defense, well, it's not very important as of now. We'll see in the future. But the way
he's
in
got
which
to get better, though. Like he's got to get better.
But I mean, do you want to win or lose?
Oh, I want to lose.
So don't worry for this season. At least in the future,
I know,
we will
right.
we will worry. We will worry in due time. I mean,
yeah.
Come on. The fact that he's able, I mentioned it probably in the last pod, but I don't have any recollection of what I said. It was not the best setting.
I don't either. I don't know what I've said yesterday or when I've said what. Yeah, I know.
And so, I mean, there was one or two possessions where with just one dribble, it was able to create, I don't know, 6 feet of space, and that is unbelievable, and that is something that will help him a lot and will translate because it was against like sort of NBA players. I mean, Sadiq Bey or guys like that. I don't remember if it was exactly him, but
that was almost the Pistons team that you'll see this year. Yeah.
So I mean, it's and again, the fact that he wasn't able to hit threes, to me, it's almost like I really want that ball to drop down because he's able to hit NBA threes. He did it for the entire season in college. I mean, the range was not an issue. He was so quick and so natural from there that I don't have any question. And so if you pair the fancy dribble, the ability to create space, and the fact that he was actually able to generate offense for others, you pair that with the threat of a real 3-point shooter, that is fun.
Yeah, that is fun. Hoopstock69 asks our thoughts on Sekou Doumbouya being available. I've heard that's like super real, that it would probably not
Why
take
do you
a whole
care
lot.
is my second question.
A whole lot. It would not take a whole lot to get him. Oh, just because he's just kind of fun. You know, if you give a future second, like who cares? Like see if he's something. Very young. Very, very, very young is one of the reasons why I would care.
I don't see that.
But I know
I don't see him in the system that OKC wants to
he
build.
is not. He is old age Thunder, no question though. Like that would be the only reason that you're not interested is because he doesn't fit what the Thunder are doing. Also, Troy Weaver saying, you know what, it'd be probably best to just have a secondary level asset instead of him on the team. You know,
did he said that?
If he's available for like a second rounder, then he's saying that.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I don't think it would take much more than a second rounder to get him. I really don't. So
but
I'd be fine. If they dealt for him, I would be a little excited. That's all.
Okay.
Because I do kind of like him.
I would be probably miserable because he will probably play. You'll need to play him, and I just don't see.
Yeah, I mean
that's why. I mean,
who do you sit about with Baisley? Like he's not.
No, I would much rather play Baisley.
I know that. I'm just what I was saying is like he's not taking Baisley's minutes. You know, like he wouldn't.
I mean, if he takes 2 minutes from Giddy and 1 from Poku, I'm already miffed.
Agreed. All right, I'm out. You're right. All right. I'm no longer excited to even think about it.
If you want to
Because he
play him at
does.
the
He plays
5,
the same position. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to.
I would be miffed because I want to see JRE play. I just don't
True.
care. I mean, he's a nice play finisher with athletic ability and probably a certain upside in terms of improving finishing at the rim and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm totally out.
I convinced
Totally out.
Hoopstock 69 in 5 minutes. Wow.
Yep, there he goes. Yeah, Hoopstock 69 also out.
No, it's just for the team construction. It's not that he's not worth a second rounder in any team. He's worth a second rounder for the Clippers, for example. He's worth a second rounder for like teams that will say, well, we have minutes. We can try to to develop you because I mean you're clearly not developing the right way in Detroit, and so we'll test you out. I mean, go to Toronto. They have already a gazillion teams, but they want to have a gazillion players like him. They will play units with, I don't know, at the 2, and maybe they can play Doumbouya at the 3 with Barnes at the 4 and Pascal at the 5. Wow, let's get weird. That is a team where, why not? I mean, it's not that they have a gazillion guys to develop. So
it's true. They don't. And we got Fit Krejci to worry about instead of Sekou Doumbouya.
Well, those minutes to me are like if he takes Krejci minutes, I'm not miffed because I don't know what to think about Krejci as of today. So.
We're already invested though. You know, we're already invested in Krejci. So
yeah, a bit.
Okay. JRE, I'm super excited about him. I don't know if you watched his last game in Summer League, but like
almost everything.
I think he's the best player on the floor for both teams. And I don't know. I'm excited to see like he's going to play real minutes this year. I just have zero doubts about that. I think he's the kind of player that Coach Mark likes. So I'm in. I'm totally in on the JRE experience.
Yeah, I mean he was awesome. The only thing that I want him to improve on is the ability to deter a little bit more in terms of rim protection and stuff like that, because he has the ability. The timing was a little bit off. It was kind of easy to score on him on drives. But that to me is understanding space in the NBA. Because I mean, you have different spacing. You have like the court is actually different in terms of measurements. So the initial positioning is what he was probably mistaken about most of the time. And if you are a step ahead, then you're dead against NBA drivers. So I really think once he understands that part of the game, the rest of his, like the rest of the things that he did were so high level that I have, again, no doubts that he will play in the NBA. To which level, I don't know. I mean, he can be a rotational player. He can be like an 8th, 9th man on an average team. I don't know. That will the shooting will say a lot. The ability to be more than a play finisher. He has the ability to pass the ball. I mean, clearly he's a guy that understands the game, and he also has some like the spot up shooting from 15 feet. That was real. I mean, was really smooth, quick. So he has tools. I agree. He was good, and I want to see him because with talent around him, I think it will be even better.
Yeah. That's the thing about it, is that he was good with the worst talent that he'll see the rest of this, calendar year. And whenever he gets to play with like high level players like SGA, and you get to play, I mean, even playing with Giddey, who just thinks the game at a high level.
Yeah.
I mean, things will be different for him. And, I think that's exciting to see what he looks like, because I think he'll play. I have like zero doubts about him playing rotation minutes on this team. So, all right, McKelly, let's close. I'm going to go to the stream. See who has joined us today. We have Tyler Field here. It says, "What's up, donkeys?" We have Hoopsock69 here, as always. We have Falk from Denmark. We have unhandicapped train in San Antonio. We have Tim Gordon in Maine. We have Bryce Little here. We have the Tall Shot OKC. We have Tim Gordon here. Fitness 2018 from London. Wow. Paul Chi, who I think is in Jamaica. Very cool. W Rose 27. Nathan Creamer is here. He says, "Hey boys, wish me luck. I have the final interview for my dream job tomorrow. Big shouts to Nathan. Hope it goes great. My guy, let us know. Hope you get the job, man."
Yeah,
Patrick Whitehead, Dina Lawson says that podcasts with you are her favorites too. So there you go. Josh Smith is here. Abakar is here. Sorry, he's in Ghana. He says he's in traffic in Ghana. How cool is that? Oh, that's awesome.
Crazy that a guy in Ghana is listening to Don't Dunk on his car. That to me is
incredible. I don't even comprehend it correctly. So, Alex Bullerjack wants to know your favorite Italian football club.
AC Milan in the past. Now I just don't follow.
Yeah. Jess African Kiwi says that she's watching us in Australia at 2:30 a.m. Wow, another just mind-blowing statement from somebody.
Yeah,
unbelievable. I ain't gonna lie, so tell me why is here with us. Let's see. Christos in Greece is here. Brian Yates is here saying that you're looking tanned, McKelly, from being on the beach. Josh Smalley is here from Washington State. Oh, he's usually the traveling teacher from Ethiopia. He's on a short break before heading back. Hope all is well for you, Josh. Tyler Carroll is here. Tyler will be using your services again later in the year. I assume you're putting together some more charts and stuff for us for the potential lottery. So looking forward to that. Austin, Michael Darby, the Fluky is here. I think from Germany. Jalen G is here. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining the stream. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can join us. Our music has gone off, but I'm just going to keep going. You can join us on YouTube Live. You can comment along the way. Stay Jamaica is listening from Jamaica. NBA offseason propagandist is also here. Thanks so much for joining. We'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.